Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel. Welcome back to our Premier League predictions. Match day 34 here. A quieter weekend for the Premier League where Liverpool edge even closer to the Premier League title, and the relegation battle was already over as well. So not too much to be excited about. A few storylines had it, and Postecoglou and Ruben Amorim's sides fair as they try to avoid the embarrassment of finishing in 16th and 17th. And we look at the big sides. Who's going to finish up in those top 5 positions to get Champions League football? They're the key storylines that are still going currently in the Premier League. Looking back to our last few games' efforts, entered the last video on 221 points. We added only 6 to take us to 227 here as we enter the last few games. So massive weeks that comes for our prediction points. If you're wondering how those points work, 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result predicted, and 0 points for neither. So looking to bounce back after a very poor showing over the last week and a half there. With that being said, ladies and gents, let's now get straight into our Premier League predictions for the weekend of match day 34. We start at the bridge for Chelsea and Everton. The battle of the two blues here in this one. Two teams not necessarily in fantastic form, but Chelsea coming in with the more confidence off the back of a fantastic turnaround result versus Fulham. I almost wrote them off in that game there. They were struggling. They couldn't break through, but it was in the end Pedro Neto, the hero in that one there, in their 2-1 win. They come into this game unbeaten, however, in their last 5 home games. They scored 8 goals in their last 5 games in all competitions. So despite not being at their best, they're making things work. And I've said on podcasts about the thoughts about Enzo Maresca. It seems like that people sort of find him out, but he's still getting results with this Chelsea side, which is a positive thing. And their hunt for Champions League football is still alive, but they have to be perfect coming into the end of the season here. And in this game here, I looked at Pedro Neto yet again to be the driving force. He was the energizer. He was someone that's willing to run in behind, drop the shoulder, get past defenders and make things happen. And overall, it was his energy that sparked that Chelsea late comeback. So look to him to be of great importance yet again. And also in midfield as well, Enzo Fernandez has been, I think, magical this season for Chelsea. He's really taken on the leadership role and being that main driver and that driving force in the Chelsea room. Every single game he's putting his body in the line. He's making things happen. Look to him to try and win that midfield battle and keep Chelsea on the front foot in this game here. Looking at Everton, it was a turnaround for them in that game versus Man City. It looked like they were destined for a 0-0 result, but in the end, Man City's quality eventually showed through, and it's a bit of a warning sign for this game here versus Chelsea. By no means are they the level of Man City, but if they just sit in, eventually the Cole Palmers, the Pedro Netos, the Noni Maduekes will eventually break through your back line. So I think for Everton, it's about having more of a danger going forward. They've only picked up 1 win in their last 5 Premier League games, scoring 3 goals in that time there. So I looked at Iliman Ndiaye, I looked at Abdoulaye Doucouré. When these two are playing at their best, Everton are playing in transition, that's when they look dangerous. That's when they can score goals. Everton bagged 2 goals in the game. They've basically wrapped up all 3 points because we know they're very good defensively. They don't often concede more than 1 goal in a game. So it's really important for me. They also have a threat going forward despite their strength defensively. You can only defend for so long in the Premier League before a team breaks you down. So important they have that outball and they have that danger going forward versus a vulnerable Chelsea backline at times. So massive game for both these two sides here. Everton want to keep this good thing going. They want to get back on track after a few disappointing results. And for Chelsea, they need to keep winning. They need to keep winning and keep getting points so they can keep in that top 5 position. With that being said, I think Chelsea, with more to play for and the better players playing at home, get over the line in this game here for me. Going with the 2-1 Chelsea win. They have enough talent in the final third for me to break down this Everton back line. We're off to the Amex for Brighton and West Ham in our next game here. 2 teams that heavily underwhelmed last weekend. Brighton dismantled by Brentford 4-2, and has really been a theme of them since coming out of February. Really, really poor across the last few games. They were without a win in the last 6 Premier League games. They've dropped down to 10th on the Premier League table and no clean sheet in their last 4 games. And that's when I look here for this Brighton side. We need to see more from Dunk, the skipper. We need to see more from Carlos Baleba in midfield. 2 players that are regarded highly from Premier League fans and Brighton fans themselves, and they are at the core of this Brighton side. And to be frank and to be honest, they haven't been good enough. They have not been solid enough, and Brighton's identity abound defensive solidity and then playing a great attacking football has gone away. It's become more of a pinball match, back and forth, chances at both ends of the pitch, and that plays into opposition's hands, and that's why Brentford tore them apart last time out. I want to see a better defensive effort for Brighton, especially against a really weak West Ham side who themselves are really, really poor. An awful 1-1 draw at home to Southampton, an embarrassing draw, I'd say, to Southampton. And for me, it's really, really clear that this is not working under Graham Potter. They're without a win in 6 Premier League games themselves, no clean sheet in that time either, sitting 17th in the Premier League. And any other season, they're probably in a relegation battle if it wasn't for how poor those bottom 3 sides are. For me, pretty simple. Mohamed Kudus has to step up. Lucas Paqueta has to step up. Jared Bowen, despite being influential in terms of his output, needs to step up. These 3 have been vacant in key moments in key games. They need to be more involved, linking up, making things tick, making things happen. We'll promise this great attacking football from West Ham when the change of manager came with David Moyes leaving at the end of the last season. But they've lost their defensive identity. They lost their link up in the final third, and they look worse attacking-wise this season than they did last year. It's because these players haven't been good enough this season. They have to lift here if they want to find any sort of result here versus Brighton. At this point, you're just playing for pride. But those West Ham fans, they want to play for pride. They love their club, and right now their club is not performing. They need to make a statement here. Do I reckon they will? Absolutely not. I think Brighton, the better side at home. West Ham at the moment just look a shadow of themselves, and I see Brighton getting back on track in this game here. A 2-0 Brighton win, getting back that defensive solidity and getting more goals in the final third. We're up north to St James for Newcastle and Ipswich. Newcastle really, really disappointing last time out. That 4-1 loss at Villa Park versus Aston Villa. Really a blunder and a blip in what has been a really strong start to 2025. They scored 15 goals in their last 5 games. They come off the back of 4 straight home wins coming into this game here. We know St James's Park is an absolute fortress for them, and I feel like they'll dominate this game. And it starts in the middle of the park for me. Bruno, Tenali and Joelinton were not at their best versus Aston Villa, and we know that midfield 3 can win a Premier League game off their own boot due to their physicality and due to the way they control and dictate the centre of the park. And I look to them yet again just to boss around this Ipswich side in the centre of the park. Their physicality, their demeanour, their energy and intensity they bring to this game, I think will be way too much for Ipswich to handle, and they'll single-handedly get Newcastle over the line for me in this game here. Ipswich, they were rolled by Arsenal last time out, 4-0. They've picked up 5 points in their last 5 Premier League away games, which gives them a hope that they maybe can make it a bit of a battle. But no clean sheet in 15 games in a row with Newcastle's front line. I don't give them much of a hope. Kayuste and Sam Morsey protecting that back 4 is the only real hope if we can defend as a 6 to try and limit spaces for Isaac, Murphy and co to get in behind and operate. But I give Ipswich no chance in this game here. Newcastle are firing all cylinders. They have to bounce back. They're competing for those Champions League positions, and they will get back on track here with a massive statement win. 5-1 here for me. Ipswich absolutely blown away by a dangerous Newcastle side. Southampton and Fulham is our next game here. We're off to St Mary's to see if the Saints can add it to the point they got last time out. That 1-1 draw away to West Ham was an important moment. It means they won't break the record for the lowest points total. They're equal with Derby at this current point in time. However, the stats are really glaring. No win in their last 10 games. They have picked up 2 draws, however, in their last 4 games. So maybe a chance for another point to pick up here versus an out-of-form Fulham side. For me, once again, when I look at this Southampton side, again, it's playing for pride, it's playing for contracts. Leslie Ugochukwu was massive last time out in that 0-1 at West Ham. Fernandes has been fantastic for me all season. A spark, a creator in the final third. He'll look to make things happen yet again. And Sulemana in the final third as well. With his energy, with his physicality, and with his agility, is going to be really dangerous for this Fulham backline. Look to these young stars to lead this side forward and see if they can cause some problems for this Fulham backline. Fulham, again, we talked about earlier, a disappointing result in that 2-1 loss to Chelsea. They really threw it away for me. They had the game in the grasp of their hands. They've lost 3 straight games now on the road. They're looking to turn that around here to get back into that top 8, which potentially could be European football. But the last few games are really, really disappointing for this Fulham side, and they need to get back on track. And for me, you look to the barometer players. Sander Berge and Sasa Lukic have been those players for me this season. Again, not the standout players on the team sheet, but when you watch Fulham play, when they're able to keep teams penned in, when they're able to keep in possession of the football because of how Lukic and Sander Berge can be those disruptors and break up midfield passes and make those challenges. It makes Fulham a better side. It allows Anthony Robertson to commit, Timothy Castagna and Tete to commit numbers forward. You get overlaps, you get overwhelming Fulham pressure, and that's when they look at their best in the final third. I often say it with Fulham, they'll go through patches where they score a lot of goals and win games, 3 games in a row, then they'll go in 2 and lose 2 games in a row, and it's because they won't be able to control that midfield battle. They've lost a couple on the bounce, they need to get back on track. Those two are leading that. Win the midfield battle, keep Fulham on the front foot, pen Southampton in, and good things happen for your side. As such, I see Fulham bouncing back. It's going to be a tough away day because Southampton, they're playing for pride. They're playing for their contracts for these younger players, so they're going to play at their very best. But I do think Fulham get back on track here. Southampton's backline not good enough to handle the dangerous final third players that Fulham have. So Fulham get a 2-0 win here for me and get back on track in this Premier League season. We're off to the Molineux for Wolves and Leicester, and boys, this is going to be a one-way game here. Wolves, very impressive last time out against Manchester United at Old Trafford, a 1-0 win there. Far from their best attacking football, but they made the moment count with Pablo Sarabia scoring that free kick. They've won 5 games in a row, unbeaten in the last 6. Vitor Pereira's got this side ticking on all levels right now. 10 goals scored in the last 5 games. They've got that attacking identity back at the club, and it's all being built off defensive solidity. It makes no sense, I guess, when you say it in the sentence, but they build out from the back much better. You can keep clean sheets. If you can be more solid defensively, it allows the team to go play. It allows confidence for those final third players to stay higher up the pitch and put pressure on the back line. And we know Leicester have had all sorts of problems scoring, and I'm loving what the back three are doing right now. It allows Semedo and Aït-Nouri to commit numbers forward and allows that front line to be super, super dangerous. For me in this game here, the difference makers are going to be Matheus Cunha, as well as Strand Larsen in the final third. Strand Larsen's in great form in front of goal. We know what Cunha can do in the final third as well. And their dynamic link-up between physicality, pace, and precision and clinical edge in the final third will be way too much for Leicester to handle, in my opinion. These two are the perfect combination up top that cause any backline in Premier League all sorts of problems, and they'll cause all sorts of problems and run right versus Leicester backline here for me, who were not too bad last time out. A 1-0 loss at home to Liverpool, yet again they're not scoring. 2 goals in their last 5 Premier League games. No win in 11, no clean sheet in 29. It's a real damning, glaring statistic. Ever since Ruud van Nistelrooy joined the club, it has all been downhill for Leicester City. For me, it's all about work rate. It's all about intensity. It's all about covering off. Palmer and goal from Ipswich. We see what he can do for that side there. Can the keeper here for Leicester City do some heroics, show off what he can do? Hermansen's been good this season, but can he show those Palmer-level heroics for Ipswich? Can we get Ndidi and Soumare protecting that back line of Face and Cody? Again, they're not fantastic names, but work rate, intensity, and fighting is all we want to see here from Leicester. Can they be competitive versus a very dangerous attacking and dynamic Wolves front line? It's all in that back line there, that back four. Can they keep it quiet? Can they keep Wolves at arm's length for as long as possible? And can they keep a clean sheet for 60, 70 minutes? Because maybe they might be able to nick a goal going forward themselves. It's all about fighting for pride here for Leicester. It's been a rough couple of months, but can that back line, can the goalkeeper, and can those 2 holding midfielders do what they do best, which is defend and be tough to beat? I do not see that happening, though. I think Wolves right now are in flow state. Vitor Pereira's got this side flowing, playing great football, believing that Molineux crowd will get behind their side, and I think it'll be a one-way affair in this one here. 3-0 Wolves win here for me at the Molineux. Leicester, more embarrassment for the Foxes in this game here. We go back down south for Bournemouth and Manchester United. Chance for the Cherries to do a double over Manchester United this season. They come off the back of a Borefest, a real struggle in that 0-0 draw against 10 men Crystal Palace. Again, far from their best in recent times for Bournemouth. They started 2025 off on fire, and they've just dropped off in the last month or so. They've picked up 5 points from the last 3 games, scoring 5 goals only in their last 5 games. And for me, it's that attacking football. It's that spark in the final third that just disappeared. I want to see that link up from Semenyo or Wutara and Justin Club in the final third. We just haven't seen it from them in the last few months. We haven't seen that spark from Bournemouth in the final third. To be honest, it's really been Evan Nilsson creating chance out of nothing for this Bournemouth side. We need to see in particular Antoine Semenyo, do what he does best. Run at defenders, use your physicality, use your speed, use your trickery. Allow Clive to drop into those little holes, the half spaces to operate and try and create opportunities. And Dango Otero needs to be playing with that same confidence he was when he was playing up top as a striker. The Bournemouth back line will do its job. The Bournemouth midfield will do its job. But can that front line deliver? Can they score goals versus a, at times, very vulnerable Manchester United back line, who themselves look to shadow themselves without Bruno Fernandes last time out in that 1-0 Old Trafford loss to Wolverhampton. Without a win in their last four Premier League games, Manchester United, and only won 4 games away from home all season in the Premier League. It's not looking very bright for Manchester United away from home this season. Bruno Fernandes will return. He'll undoubtedly be the puppet master pulling the strings, the best player in the park for both sides, and could single-handedly win this game for Manchester United. But he needs support, similar to what Bournemouth have gone through. United's front line have been awful all season. And can Alejandro Garnacho, can Erasmus Horn, who've had a real poor seasons, get things going, be clinical in the final third, show Ruben Amorim that they deserve to be at the club next season, because right now they're just not good enough. But they need to show precision, incision, and a clinical edge in that final third if Manchester United want to make this a game, because we know how good Bournemouth defence have been with Ilyasar Bani leading alongside Dean Huijsen back there. I feel like it's a tale of two teams that can't score goals right now. As such, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Both teams defending okay at this current point in time. United don't travel great. Bournemouth haven't played that great since the February time. As such, I'm seeing this one being a blanket 1-1 draw. We're off to Anfield as Liverpool dare to dream once again. They take on Spurs in this game here as they edge closer to another Premier League title. They come off the back of a hard-fought 1-0 win away at Leicester, far from their best football, bailed out by Trent Alexander-Arnold, but it feels like in recent weeks it's all about just getting over the line and getting this Premier League trophy won. They've won 4 out of the last 5 Premier League games, and losses for me always seem to come when they concede more than one goal or concede a goal, with that being said, because they've been really good this season defensively. The most clean sheets in the Premier League with 14. That's been their calling card, and in recent weeks they've gone back to that. More defensively solid, and good things will come from there going forward. It's a blueprint for many teams in world football, but winning teams do it. You keep clean sheets, good things happen in the final third. And for me, it's Dominic Szoboszlai in games like these, when you're versing Spurs, you play with such high intensity, higher lines, high energy. He can match that. He can make chaos in that final third with his pressing, with his passing array, with his ability to pick the passes up and being that link from the midfield defensive areas to the likes of Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz in the final third. So look to him, like he always does versus Spurs, to cause problems for the Spurs backline. Looking at Tottenham, they were more competitive last time out. They created a lot of chances, but they just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net versus Forest in that 2-1 loss. Only had 3 points won in their last 5 Premier League games, despite scoring 8 goals in their last 5 games in all competitions. Just a tale of the times right now for Tottenham Hotspur, and in particular in Premier League football, not clinical enough in front of goal. Wilson de Beer, Matisse Tell, Brennan Johnson, Dominic Solanke, far from their best in terms of clinical edge in the final third. If they want to make a game here versus Liverpool, they have to be more ruthless, they have to take their chances, be dynamic and finish it off in the final third. Versus Nottingham Forest, they created a plethora of opportunities. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And that's what this Ange side has struggled to do this season domestically. In Europa League football, they've been much better in front of goal. They've taken opportunities. They've put teams to bed. But in the Premier League, they just can't find the back of the net right now. And it's up to those types of players there, Johnson, Solanke, Odegaard, Tell, who can make a real shift here and get Tottenham back in control and get some momentum behind this side here. If they can finish off some chances, the belief grows and the football becomes much better for this Spurs side. But I just don't see that happening. Right now, Liverpool are way too ruthless. Tottenham are not that at all. They're not a ruthless side. They let opportunity slip, and as such, I see Liverpool dominating this game. It'll be back and forth. It'll be a high intensity like these two clubs always like to play. And I see Liverpool running away dominant 4-1 winners in this game here for me. The final game for this match week sees Forest host Brentford. Forest were clinical last time out. That 2-1 win against Spurs, limited possession, limited shots, but got the job done. A real symbol of their season come 2025. They only managed 4 goals in their last 5 Premier League games. It's gone away from that high-speed, high-attacking football, which they had in the first half of the season, and I see them win only 3 out of their last 5 Premier League games. For me, it's if we can see that high-intensity come back, that counter-attacking style, that counter-pressing style, which served them so well in the first half of the season to allow the likes of Ante Elanga, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Chris Wood to really flourish in the final third there. in transition? Or will it be a more pragmatic defensive position taken up by Brentford? And then we have to see the likes of Elliot Anderson as well as Morgan Gibbs-White be those puppet masters, make things happen and pass through a Brentford backline. It depends how Brentford lines up, but Nottingham Forest have to be ready to win in different ways in this game here. Looking at Brentford, they were on fire last time, had a 4-2 win at home at the G-Tech versus Brighton. It won't be as easy in this game here because we know the speed that Nottingham Forest have. However, they've only lost once in their last 5 Premier League games, and they've only lost once away from home in their last 5 games as well. So the confidence they have on the road right now is there, and they believe right now. They're playing some great football, and Burmo, Vista, Sharda up top have been dynamic. They've been dangerous. They dominated that game versus Brighton, but it's going to be a different task here versus Nottingham Forest. That's a little bit more informed and a little bit more competitive. For me, it's about creation from deep. Nottingham Forest will undoubtedly commit numbers forward. They'll commit the fullbacks, they'll commit midfielders. We know what that front line's like. They are often in and around the box. So it's about the creation from deep positions. In the last game, it was Damsgaard, it was Lewis Potter, and Norgard creating from their own box at times to beat that Brighton side. It'll be a similar sort of outlook again for Brentford, creating in transition, creating from deep positions. Lewis Potter, Damsgaard, and Norgard can all do that. They have that passing array, they have that vision, they have that skill and that ability to do that. So look to those key players yet again to be the driving force for Brentford in this game here if they want to beat a real solid Nottingham Forest side away from home. For me in this one here, I think it's destined to be a 1-1 draw. Both these sides are fantastic in transition, but I think both will go in there trying to defend their goal, be a bit more pragmatic, and it'll cancel each other out. As such, seeing this one being that 1-1 draw for me. But that being said, ladies and gents, that wraps up my predictions for match day 34 from the Premier League. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on my predictions? What are your predictions? I'd love to hear that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, guys, smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more videos and podcasts here on the channel, and press that post notification bell so you know if you don't miss any videos, live streams, podcasts, and the like here on the Players Zone channel. With that being said, I hope you have a great day, guys. Enjoy the weekend's football action, and I'll see you guys for the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.